Now, I have previously mentioned the far-right politician Richard Jomshof during a brief talk about the spreading of immigrants eating ex-animals conspiracy theories in Sweden. And today I'm going to be giving you some context on who this guy is and what he is all about and why he is being investigated for a potential crime. Here is a brief analysis into Richard Jomshof of the Swedish Democrats. Who is Richard Jomshof? Richard Johannes Jomshof is a man who was born in the late 1960s to immigrant parents from Finland who moved to Sweden to work for Swedish industries. He himself was born in Sweden and is very proud of his Finnish heritage. Although not much is known about his life prior to getting into politics, but what is known is that his parents got divorced when he was young and he grew up in Helsingborg and Glumslöv. He studied to be a teacher in both history and geography at a teachers' university in Malmö in 1993. He also studied psychology at Lund University, at a very prestigious university. During his time studying, he became a voter and supporter of the Moderaterna party, for those who don't know, a slightly more center-right party in 1990, before he then turned to the Swedish Democrats in 1999. In his usual character, as you will learn more about, he has claimed to be unjustly discriminated against for his political views when it came to working as a teacher at the school, and also for job applications. Although this is only half the truth, for in the beginning of his teaching career when he taught at a school in Växjö, he was a well-liked and respected teacher by students and teachers alike. He also had worked at the school for about 2.5 years before his teaching contract at the school was not renewed. The reason why was because a vote had been passed by the students at the school, where despite being well liked by the students he taught during that year he worked at the school, the new students at the school he was going to start teaching did not like him or have enough confidence in his teaching ability due to his opinions on immigration. Many of the students were of immigrant descent, which caused his employer to, unfortunately for Jomshof, let him go. He then tried applying for another school who told him no because he did not share their values as an educational institute. And due to the refusal to hire him at schools and more people finding out about his extreme political views, he garnered some attention from the media. It was almost like a spotlight on him. Newspapers wrote about his more extreme views, such as how multiculturalism was going to destroy society, or how newspapers should not hesitate to write headlines like some in the media also wrote about how much of a victim he was for him being denied a job for his political opinions and views, while far-right extremist blogs talked about how much of a martyr he was for their cause. All this attention on him then resulted in him making up his mind to become involved in politics. To start off his political career, he ran as a Swedish Democrat, who then made a lot of headway in municipality and county councils election in Karlskrona municipality and Blekinge county in 2006. He successfully gained the position of chairman for SD in Karlskrona and Blekinge. SD is short for Swedish Democrats. He also used to be a chief editor for SD-Kuriren, a membership magazine that contained anti-communist, anti-Semitic, Islamophobic and racist propaganda. To show you how drastic these articles were, here is an example of a slogan that was used in SD-Kuriren. Stop the invasion, keep Sweden Swedish, a known Swedish white nationalist and neo-Nazi slogan meant to exclude non-white Swedish citizens. In 2009, during the European Parliament elections, Jomshof was one of the candidates that got a seat in the parliament along with 30 other SD members. In 2010, during the Riksdags elections, he got the number 8 position on SD's Riksdags list, which for those who are unaware is only the 8th position in relation to the party leader, Jimmy Åkesson. And let me just explain the Riksdags briefly. The Riksdags, for people who don't really know anything about Sweden, is how our government system works, where we have a government with multiple parties and they get seats at the party in proportion to the amount of votes said party got So yeah, we don't have a two-party system in Sweden. We have a multiple-party system. In 2012, he briefly took over for another SD member as SD spokesman for legal policies. He also obtained a leadership role in the party at that point too. In 2015, he got appointed to the position of party secretary, and in 2021, he became the spokesperson for educational policy. And in 2022, following a surprisingly close vote during the 2022 Riksdags election, where SD got about 20% of the votes in Sweden, Jomshof got appointed to the position of chairman of the Justice Committee, a position where Jomshof and people who are working with him are going to propose solutions about how society is bent to fight and prevent crime, about how Sweden, in conjunction with other countries, are going to fight organized crime and terrorism, and what punishment for said crime is going to be, while working with the courts, police, and the Swedish prison and probational system of service. The thought of him having a lot of power to get to decide on how crime is being fought in Sweden is honestly quite terrifying, considering his extreme and unhinged views on immigration and singling out immigrants as criminal in their action. Remember the slogan, "Stop the invasion, keep Sweden Swedish"? Yeah. A lot of his racist views could potentially, impact the way crime is being fought in Sweden, leading to, mass singling out of immigrants and a lot of other people who are not quote-unquote to the liking of his party. Now, I have touched on his more extreme views and given a couple of examples of it, but I still really haven't gotten into how extreme his views are and why that led to him being investigated for potentially breaking a law and committing a crime. To get to this point, I will have to talk about his racism. Jomshof has been routinely criticized for his words smearing Muslims, which has been viewed as Islamophobic, on live TV during a debate program being broadcast on SVT. Jomshof said that Islam is a deplorable ideology and religion. This was heavily criticized by a lot of Swedish politicians as Islamophobic, but Jomshof's Facebook page sent out a message saying that he was misunderstood because he wasn't against Islam, just Islamism, which he views as a more extreme version of Islam. During another debate, this time in Sweden's Riksdag, he said that Islam, in comparison to Christianity, was immoral and prone to endorsing violence. He also compared Islam to Nazism and claimed that it was not compatible with peace and equality in a democratic country. He also claimed that Islam was created by a warmongering, genocidal, bandit and slave trader named Muhammad, and that it has no place in Sweden. He also wants to ban Muslim schools because according to him, Islam is a bad religion. When pressed about whether he had the same views on Judaism, his colleague said that she wasn't going to speculate about things that he hasn't talked about before. But if I were to speculate about his views on Judaism, his party, SD, the Swedish Democrats, has a known anti-Semitic history, so he probably has the same views as many far-right politicians in his party who came before him, but that is just a speculation, and I don't really have any proof of his anti-Semitic beliefs, but I do have proof of his party's anti-Semitic beliefs. So with that out of the way, how did he land into hot water this time, if he had made all those comments before, but had never really been under investigation for breaking a law? Well, the controversy began with something that most of us are, become all too familiar with, a tweet. Now, what was this tweet about and what did it contain? In all of Jomshof's infinite wisdom, he decided to repost a tweet with a cartoon drawing depicting immigrants as pillagers of Europe are taking advantage of European hospitality. Now, to a reasonable person, these are insanely racist images, but to Jomshof, this accurately depicts Islam as a religion. He then got reported on by a watch group called Granskaren to the authorities. A couple of months after reposting the tweets and being reported, he got paid a visit by the police that took him into custody to question him about the tweets. This resulted in him becoming suspected of breaking a law, which resulted in him temporarily abdicating his position as the chairman of the Justice Committee. He is accused of committing a hate crime. Now I'm going to briefly explain what he is being accused of. It is called Hets mot folkgrupp, which is a crime label for when you are accused of committing a hate crime. The crime entails spreading hateful rhetoric that threatens the safety of specific groups of people, like sexual minorities, religious people, ethnic minorities, and gender minorities that are protected under the law. Now, Jomshof is spreading hateful lies about immigrants who are a part of a ethnic minority, which is why he is being investigated for hets mot folkgrupp. There are different degrees of hets mot folkgrupp. One is the noble degree of just spreading lies, misinformation, and hate towards these protected groups. Another level is being going from spreading hateful lies and rhetoric to assault, which is something that Jomshof has not done. And the final degree is murder, which is a degree that is very, very, very terrible. A very terrible degree of hating someone and killing them due to their religion, their sexuality, their gender, or their ethnicity, due to your racist views. Now, some might be wondering if this goes against freedom of speech laws in Sweden. Maybe in the US, yes, this might go against freedom of speech laws, but in Sweden, we have a different set of rules here. As free speech laws here in Sweden do not cover libel, spreading of misinformation, and hateful rhetoric about protected groups of people. These are not protected under free speech, so that is why he's being investigated. Jomshof's words could be classed under spreading misinformation and hateful rhetoric about a protected group of people. But this is for the Justice Department to determine and not me. Now, what would happen to Jomshof were he to be found guilty of this? Well, he could face jail time for 1 year or be fined a certain amount for what he did. The investigation into Jomshof has also sparked a debate in Sweden about where the lines are drawn between what is considered free speech or hate speech. Some have said that what he posted was clearly hateful and bigoted, while pointing out his past rhetoric. Others have brought up the slippery slope argument that an attack on his free speech is an attack on the free speech of the Swedish people, because our speech could suddenly become classed as hate speech depending on what the justice system deems as hate speech. Well, my opinion is that this is clearly hate speech, hateful rhetoric from Jomshof, and this is due to his past rhetoric and past views about minority groups and immigration and stuff. In my opinion, this is clearly hate speech due to the framing of immigrants as inherently evil and corrupt due to their immigrant ways and them coming into Europe to destroy it. This is clearly a far-right, racist tirade against immigration and immigrants themselves. But despite his, abhorrent views, I don't want him to, go to jail. But what I do want for him is that he should be fined and to lose his position as the chairman of the Justice Committee. And I say this because him going to prison isn't really, going to solve anything. If anything, it's going to make him a martyr for, these quote-unquote free speech warriors who, suspiciously enough support a lot of racist views, mind you. I also want him to be prevented from, obtaining higher positions in our Swedish government due to his apparent views, and also due to him not being, mentally intelligent in any capacity to be making decisions about how this country should be run. Anyways, the video has gone on long enough. I just want to say that I am not really endorsing nor do I agree with what Jomshof says or does in any capacity. I'm also not, defending the religion of Islam, because I believe that people should have the right to criticize any religion that they want without being in fear of being silenced. But it has also become, quite clear to me that Jomshof's views on Islam has extended far beyond critique of the religion to blind hate of anyone that is not like him and has differences from him due to his racist past and his racist present and his probably racist future, because I suspect that he's not going to learn anything from this. Anyways, thanks for watching. Always remember to think for yourself, and if you think any differently from what I said, or want to express a different opinion from me about my takes on Jomshof, make sure to let it be known in the comment section, and of course be respectful when you do it. Otherwise, I'm probably not going to read it or respond to it. I will also provide an update on where the Jomshof situation leads to, whether he gets convicted or prosecuted, or if he gets freed. I mean, he is free right now, but he's still being, investigated. Anyway, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment because it helps me in the YouTube algorithm, because the YouTube is quite terrible for a lot of smaller political channels. Anyways, thanks for watching and bye. Hello, a update on Jomshof. If I sound like a bit scraggly, it's because I'm kind of sick. Anyway, a update on Richard Jomshof. Well, he has been acquitted of charges because the courts, the judge who was prosecuting him has found that he has done no wrong, and he has been reinstated as chairman of the Justice Committee, which I think is kind of like wild that he faced no consequences. Like, I wasn't expecting him to go to jail, but maybe losing his position as the chairman of the Justice Committee, the branch of the Swedish government that makes laws, or talks about laws about how crime shall be managed and the investigation of crime, and also terrorist attacks in Sweden and all over Europe. I kind of find it wild that he's just allowed to keep that job despite his past comments, and also his pushing of immigrants being evil and horrible. And I'm going to be questioning whether or not the Justice Committee, when they bring out laws or suggestions of laws into the Swedish Parliament, I might question whether or not it is incredibly biased against immigrant people, and is fueled by hate and racism that Jomshof has clearly expressed multiple times. So yeah, he got acquitted. That's fine. I wish there was more accountability for our government system, but people in high places of power should not be allowed to spread whatever propaganda or lies on the internet without having some kind of consequences befall them. But yeah, anyway, it's kind of depressing, but it is what it is.